Hello and welcome to NewsClick. The foreign education bill, which was being brought by the UPA-II in 2010 and was rejected in the houses, is again making its way into the country. The incumbent NDA government is trying to introduce it. To discuss the issue, we have with us Abha Dev Habib, Executive Council member of the Delhi University. Hello Abha, welcome to NewsClick.
Hi.
So, there was a bill, the foreign education bill, which was being brought by UPA in 2010 and the houses rejected it. Now the government is again trying to bring it in, the NITI Aayog has recommended it. What's the difference between two bills, if there are any?
In fact, 2010 was not the first time when foreign education institution bill was pushed. The proposal first was brought in 1995. Then in 2005 by UPA-I and then in 2010, and now Narendra Modi has approached NITI Aayog under this campaign of Make in India, that you look into the ways in which this can be brought in again, to look at the various prospects. But in all these earlier times, there were opposition to the foreign institution bill, and on very valid grounds.
So, there has been a very strong argument that the foreign education bill, that the students, rather than going outside to attain education, it's better that these universities come inside the country and then will also be able to keep a check on the brain flow that was going outside. How valid argument do you find?
It is going to only deepen the crisis in many ways. The first thing which I want to say, the first thing which you have asked, actually this is not going to help brain drain. Because those who invest money in education and want to study abroad, they also want to go abroad so that they can settle abroad. Education is one of the easiest way of going abroad and settling abroad, and only 0.5% probably of the total population which gets education wants to go abroad. So having foreign educational institutions here will actually not stop these people, because they are not wanting good education, quality education or alone. They are wanting ways of going abroad to settle abroad. So I don't think so. But why this foreign setting up foreign campuses may deepen crisis for us is in terms of exodus of good quality, qualified, very experienced teachers from the government institutions to these foreign campuses. And this was one of the major concerns of the standing committee of the parliament, Rajya Sabha, which produced its report in 2011, that setting up of foreign institutions in the country, it may or may not respond to the needs of the country. Because you have your own socio-economic conditions, but it may there will be a different fee structure there, there will be a different salary structure there, and there is a possibility that best of your teachers join these campuses.
So, when you talk about the socio-economic conditions, and recently we have seen lot of movements around the issue of condition of Dalit students in the college campuses.
Sure.
So, what impact is this foreign education bill going to have? Because as far as, if we even go by the news reports, it's saying that they will be outside the purview of UGC, which means closing the door for people from the marginalized section of the society.
Yeah, on this I want to say 2 or 3 things. Actually, if you give a reading to the report of the standing committee Parliament, Rajya Sabha, it brings out all these issues very nicely. It asks whether there will be reservation in these foreign institutions, and the response they get from the MHRD is that whatever rules are applicable to our own private, domestic private sector, these rules will be applicable to the foreign universities. So they say that because there is no reservation in the private sector, even though the private sector has been growing over last 20 years, there has been no reservation in these private sectors, there will be no reservation in the foreign educational institutions. The other thing which NITI Aayog, you have asked a very important thing. Actually, NITI Aayog, if you look at the things they want to look into, they want to see how these foreign universities should be kept outside the ambit of UGC. They want to create single window of clearing, giving clearances and all. So they want to reduce in fact role of all other regulatory bodies also, be it AICT, whether it is MCI, whether it is Bar Council. They want to reduce all that. And one more important thing, they said that how to provide them an environment where they are academically and administratively independent. On the other hand, we see a continuous interference into the educational institutions. Here we see how IITs are being told to teach Sanskrit, how we were since 2010 or 9 onwards, in fact, first we were forced to semesterize all our programs, then we were pushed into 4-year undergraduate program, and then after NDA comes, they bring relief. They look at the movement against FYUP, the 4-year undergraduate program, but within few months they impose choice-based credit system. If you really value academic autonomy of the institutions, why are you not ready to give it to your own institution? That is a very important question I have to ask.
So, if I am right, there was a committee that was set up by the government, which recommended dismantling of the UGC and setting up another commission. NCHAR, exactly. So, what impact will this have on this recommendation that the UGC may be scrapped and another commission may be set up?
See, I think the recent reforms only show that we do not really know where we are going, we do not really care where we are going, or maybe they know their mind, they want to actually set us on the trajectory of whatever WTO wants them to do about our educational system. It is really unfortunate that we are not really looking at the ground realities. Dismantling UGC will not resolve the issues of higher education. What we really need today, and I would like to say that all those who could afford education are sending their children to education sector. If you want to increase the gross enrollment ratio, you really have to come up with more number of state universities, central universities. There are over 200 state universities, and much education happens in the state universities, yet we have not strengthened them. We have not strengthened them in terms of infrastructure, in terms of teachers, and so on and so forth. Where has the UGC failed? Unless the government comes up with that kind of report, I do not understand how setting up a new institution per se will help rescue the higher education.
The foreign education bill also talks about level playing field. That the foreign universities will come, the government will provide them land at minimum rates possible, while the profits they will retain will go to themselves only, that will not be invested in the public sector universities. So, is it sort of closing, it's a process which is moving towards dismantling of the public sector universities too?
See, on this also the standing committee report 2011, which was placed before Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha in 2011, talks about this issue also. And there is an attempt, I mean on NITI Aayog also recommendations which have been reported in various newspapers. They are also looking at the ways of creating for-profit institution. There have been in fact entry of foreign universities was made possible long back. In 2005, there was a regulation brought in by AICT, which through which foreign universities could have come in. And in fact, there are right now 651 universities which are operating. Why do we want a new regulation? I think more than anything else, what the government has been wanting, and this thing started during UPA-II also. If we look at the reports of UPA-II towards the end of their session, they were also proposing that allow profit making in higher education. Just as I had said earlier that actually when the standing committee had asked MHRD their opinion about reservation, they said whatever is happening in our domestic private sphere, we can allow only that much to the foreign. In the same manner, why the foreign campuses are not coming here? Because you are not allowing them to make profit and take it away. What is important is not only that whatever they will earn, they will plug into the institution here, but I mean they are not satisfied with that. They want to take it away. Now, take it away will happen only if you will allow profit making in higher education. Our legislation till date makes education into a public good, and on paper at least institutions are forced to show that they are not making money. So, the attempt right now is actually to make that as a major thing, but that will have ramification even for the public funded universities, and we have already seen, for example, IITs have been forced to do a fee hike, because if there will be a huge gap between the fees which private institutions are taking, for the foreign universities are taking, and what the public funded universities are taking, I don't see people going to these campuses, or very handful people will go, which will not do the trick for them.
PPP model is already there in various universities.
Yes, but I mean they will this thing that if you will allow profit making in higher education, then this will naturally force your public funded education system to become expensive also, so that the gap between the two reduces. Only then they will benefit.
If we look at this thoroughly and we find that, I mean, if we go to the ancient times and what the current government seems to be pursuing, or its parent organization, the idea of Manu Smriti, there was an exploitation basically on the issue of caste. A person who belonged to a lower caste couldn't study. Now it's more of becoming a class issue, that a person who has money, who is rich, can study, and who doesn't have money cannot.
You are absolutely right. This is going to create a new kind of stratification. This is going to divide people further, and those who are marginalized today are going to get further marginalized. The government should forward these proposals only when they have done a thorough discussion by taking various stakeholders into account, whether it is Dalits, whether it is women organization, whether it is vice chancellors, trade union bodies of educational institutions. Only then we should move ahead. All these will have major impact on women education, on Dalit education, and therefore I think we should tread very slowly and carefully on this.
But this would be my last question. The same BJP, when was in opposition, opposed the foreign education bill. Now they are only trying to introduce it with this entire branding of Make in India, while actually the profit is going outside, nothing is happening in India here. Do you see it as a measure to also break the growing students and the teachers movement in the country?
See, the growing students and teachers movement actually point out to the fact that all the reforms which have been brought in over last 10 years are actually anti-people. This struggle is in response to that, and I hope that the struggle will take things forward, will move forward and stop the government from taking these anti-people stances. And what you have said is very important, that whatever UPA-II was proposing, today we see that the BJP government is moving forward on that agenda, and this was bound to happen because both these governments do not have different economic policies. As long as they pursue the same economic policies, the outcome will be the same. And I have over last few years, I have placed my faith in the movements, whether it is teachers and students, and today coming together of movements brings us this hope.
That's a very positive note to leave on, that the movement is the way ahead. Thanks a lot, Abha, and we'll be coming back to you on such issues.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for watching News Clip.